Kang Do-yun stood at the window of his small research station and watched the sky turn purple. The clouds moved in strange ways, spinning and twisting like angry snakes. He had lived on this planet for 3 years, and he had never seen anything like this. His computer beeped with a warning. The screen showed red letters that said, "Century Storm Approaching." Do-yun knew what this meant. Once every 100 years, this planet created a storm so powerful that nothing could survive outside. The winds would tear apart anything not bolted to the ground. The cold would freeze blood in seconds. He started to prepare. He checked his food supplies, his water tanks, his power generators. Everything was ready. He would be safe inside his small home for the next few weeks until the storm passed. Then his radar screen lit up. Something was falling from the sky. A ship. It was burning and spinning out of control, leaving a trail of smoke across the purple clouds. Do-yun watched it crash into the forest about 12 kilometers away. The explosion lit up the horizon like a second sun. He should stay inside. That was the smart thing to do. The storm would arrive in less than 6 hours. Anyone who crashed out there was probably already dead. And even if they were alive, going out there would risk his own life for strangers. Do-yun grabbed his thermal suit and started walking to his crawler vehicle. He was not a brave man. He was not a soldier or a hero. He was just a scientist who studied plants and animals on a quiet planet far from civilization. He had come here to escape people, to find peace after his heart was broken back on Earth. But he could not sit in his warm station and let people die in the cold. The crawler moved slowly through the forest. The trees were already bending from the early winds. Small animals ran past him, looking for shelter. The sky grew darker with every minute. When he reached the crash site, he found a scene of destruction. The ship had torn through the forest like a bullet, leaving a path of broken trees and burning metal. The main body of the ship lay in pieces across a small valley, and there were survivors. Do-hyun counted 17 figures huddled near the largest piece of wreckage. They were tall, much taller than him. Their skin was pale blue, almost silver in the dim light. They had sharp features and pointed ears, and their eyes glowed faintly in colors of gold and amber. Even injured and exhausted, they looked dangerous. He recognized them immediately, Valanthi. The galaxy knew them as the Huntress clans, all female warriors who worked as hunters and soldiers for hire. They were proud, fierce, and they did not like outsiders, especially not human males. One of them saw his crawler approaching and shouted a warning. Several of the Valanthi raised weapons, pointing them at him with shaking hands. Do-yun stopped the crawler and stepped out slowly, keeping his hands visible. "I am not here to fight," he called out. "There is a storm coming, a very bad storm. You will all die if you stay here." The Valanthi did not lower their weapons. One of them stepped forward. She was older than the others, with gray streaks in her long white hair. She carried herself like a leader, straight and proud despite a wound on her shoulder that dripped blue blood. "We do not need help from humans," she said. Her voice was cold and hard. "With respect," Do-hyun replied. "Yes, you do. This storm will freeze you solid in 3 hours. Your ship is destroyed. Your communications are down. I am offering you shelter in my research station." "And what do you want in return?" another Valanthi demanded. This one was younger, with fire in her golden eyes. "What is your price, human?" Do-hyun looked at her. "I want nothing. I am just trying to help." The younger Valanthi laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Humans always want something. You are weak creatures. You take what you cannot earn through strength." The older one, the leader, held up her hand for silence. She studied Do-hyun for a long moment. The wind was getting stronger now, and the temperature was dropping fast. "I am Matriarch Yira of the Valanthi Huntress clan," she said finally. "We were attacked by enemies and forced to crash on this world. Many of my daughters are wounded. Some may die without medical help." Do-hyun nodded. "I have medical supplies at my station. Basic things, but better than nothing. Please, we need to move now. The storm will not wait." Yira looked at her clan. They were scared, though they tried to hide it. Some of them could barely stand. One was being carried by 2 others. They had no food, no shelter, and no way off this planet. She turned back to Do-hyun. "If you betray us, human, I will kill you myself." "Understood," Do-hyun said simply. They loaded the wounded into his crawler first. It was designed for one person, so they had to make many trips. Do-hyun drove back and forth through the growing storm, each trip more dangerous than the last. The Volanthi who could walk followed on foot, struggling against winds that tried to push them down. The last trip was the worst. The sky had turned completely black, and ice was forming on everything. Do-hyun could barely see through the windshield. The crawler's engine screamed against the wind, but they made it. When the last Volanthi stumbled through the door of his research station, Do-hyun sealed it shut behind them. Outside, the storm finally arrived in its full fury. The sound was like 1,000 screaming voices. The walls shook. The lights flickered. 17 Volanthi warriors stood in his small home, dripping water and blood on his floor. They looked at him with eyes full of suspicion and wounded pride. They did not thank him. They did not smile. Do-hyun did not mind. He walked to his storage room and started pulling out blankets. "It will be cold tonight," he said. "Please, make yourselves comfortable. I will see to the wounded." Matriarch Yira watched him go with a strange expression on her face. She had fought humans before, killed some of them in battle. She thought she understood what they were. Weak bodies, clever minds, selfish hearts. This one confused her. In the corner of the room, a young Volanthi named Nuri also watched the human. She was the youngest of the clan, barely old enough to be called a Huntress. While her sisters looked at Do-hyun with distrust, Nuri felt something different, curiosity. Why would this small, soft creature risk his life for strangers who pointed weapons at him? What did he gain from this kindness? She did not know the answer yet, but she wanted to find out. Outside, the storm raged against the tiny station, trying to tear it apart. Inside, a human and 17 alien warriors waited in silence, unsure of what the coming days would bring. The research station was never meant for 18 people. It was built for one lonely scientist and his equipment. Now it held 17 Volanthi warriors, and the walls seemed to close in a little more each day. Do-hyun gave up his bedroom on the first night. He moved his sleeping bag to a small corner near the water recycler, where the machine hummed all night and kept him from sleeping well. The Volanthi took his room, his laboratory, his storage areas. They spread blankets on every flat surface and slept in shifts, always keeping guards awake and watching. They were watching him, he knew. They did not trust him. On the third day, the young Volanthi with fire in her eyes cornered him in the food storage room. Her name was Talith, and she was one of the strongest fighters in the clan. She stood a full head taller than Do-hyun, and her muscles were like carved stone under her blue skin. "Why do you give us so much?" she demanded. "I have been counting the food. You are giving us more than your share. You are making yourself weak." Do-hyun continued organizing the food packets. "You are guests in my home. It would be rude to let you go hungry." "We are not guests," Talith said. "We are strangers. Enemies, maybe. Your people and mine have fought wars." "I have never fought anyone," Do-hyun replied calmly. "I am a scientist. I study plants." Talith grabbed his arm and turned him to face her. Her grip was strong enough to leave bruises. "Stop pretending to be so harmless. What do you want from us? Do you think if you feed us and shelter us, we will owe you something? Do you think you can buy a Volanthi's loyalty with blankets and soup?" Do-hyun looked up at her. He was not afraid, though perhaps he should have been. "I want nothing from you. When the storm ends, you can leave and never think of me again. That is fine." Talith stared at him for a long moment, searching for the lie in his words. She found nothing. This confused her, and confusion made her angry. "You are strange," she said finally, releasing his arm. "I do not like strange things." She walked away. Do-hyun rubbed his arm where she had grabbed him and went back to counting food packets. That night he gave the Volanthi the last of the hot meals and ate a cold protein bar himself. He did this quietly, when no one was watching. Or so he thought. Nuri saw everything. She had been watching the human since they arrived, trying to understand him. Her sisters called her too curious, too soft. They said she spent too much time thinking and not enough time fighting. But Nuri believed that understanding your environment was just as important as being able to kill things in it. And Kang Do-hyun was the most interesting thing in her environment right now. She watched him give away his warm blankets, keeping only a thin sheet for himself. She watched him check on the wounded 3 times each night, changing bandages and adjusting medicine doses. She watched him clean up after her sisters without complaining, even when they left messes on purpose to test him. He never got angry. He never complained. He just kept working, kept helping, kept giving. On the 5th day, Nuri approached him while he was fixing a broken heating unit. The cold from outside was seeping through the walls, and frost had started forming in the corners of the rooms. "You are cold," she said. Doyun looked up at her. His lips were slightly blue and his hands were shaking. "The heating unit is damaged. I am trying to fix it." "You gave away your thermal jacket to Elder Kesha." "She needed it more. Her wound makes it hard for her body to regulate temperature." Nuri sat down next to him. She was close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her body. Valanthi ran hotter than humans. "My sisters think you are foolish," she said. "They think you are weak and stupid for helping us so much." "What do you think?" Dohyun asked. Nuri was quiet for a moment. "I think there are different kinds of strength. My sisters know only one kind, the kind that kills and conquers. But there is another kind, the kind that endures, the kind that protects." Dohyun stopped working and looked at her properly for the first time. She was young, probably the equivalent of a human in her early 20s. Her eyes were not gold like most of her sisters, but a soft amber color, like honey in sunlight. She looked at him without hostility or suspicion. "You are different from the others," he said. "Yes," she agreed. "That is why they do not listen to me. But I watch, I learn, and I see what you are doing." "What am I doing?" "You are being kind," Nuri said simply. "Not because you expect something back. Not because you are afraid of us. Just because you think it is the right thing to do." Doyun went back to working on the heating unit. "Is that so strange?" "Yes," Nuri said. "It is the strangest thing I have ever seen." They sat in comfortable silence while he worked. When he finally fixed the unit and warm air started flowing again, Nuri stood up. "I will tell Matriarch Yira that you need your jacket back," she said. "Elder Kesha can share warmth with the others. You should not freeze in your own home." "You do not have to do that." "I know," Nuri said, "but someone should look after you since you refuse to look after yourself." She walked away before he could respond. That night, Talith gathered some of the younger hunters in a corner and spoke in low whispers. Nuri listened from nearby, pretending to sleep. "We should take this station for ourselves," Talith said. "The human is one small male. We are 17 warriors. Why do we let him give us orders? Why do we accept his charity like beggars?" "The matriarch forbids it," another hunter replied. "We have laws about hospitality debt." "Our laws were made for dealing with equals," Talith argued. "This human is not our equal. He is prey. We are predators. This is the natural order." Nuri sat up, drawing their attention. "The natural order also says that the strong protect the weak." "He is protecting us, Talith. That makes him strong in a way you do not understand." Talith's eyes narrowed. "Be careful, little sister. Your fascination with the human is becoming unseemly. And your hatred of him is becoming boring," Nuri replied coolly. Before the argument could continue, Matriarch Yira appeared from the shadows. Her face was unreadable. "There will be no more talk of taking anything from our host," she said quietly. "We are Valanthi. We do not steal from those who shelter us in the storm. Any who disagree can walk outside and find their own shelter." No one disagreed. Yira looked at the human sleeping in his corner, wrapped in a thin sheet, shivering slightly even in his sleep. She had led warriors for 40 years. She had seen courage in many forms. But she had never seen anything quite like this strange, stubborn, impossibly kind human who gave everything and asked for nothing. She did not understand him yet, but she was beginning to respect him. Elder Kesha collapsed on the 8th day. One moment she was standing, talking to the matriarch about supply counts. The next moment she was on the floor, her body shaking, her skin turning a dark shade of purple instead of its normal blue. The wound on her leg, which had seemed to be healing, had turned black around the edges. Infection, a bad one. The Valanthi gathered around her, but there was nothing they could do. Their medical supplies had been destroyed in the crash. Their ship's doctor had died in the landing. They had bandages and painkillers, nothing more. Matriarch Yera knelt beside her old friend. Kesha had been with her since the beginning, since they were both young hunters learning to track prey across frozen worlds. Now Kesha's eyes were clouded with fever, and her breathing was shallow and weak. "I am sorry, old friend," Yura whispered. "I cannot save you." Doyun pushed through the crowd of Valanthi. They moved aside for him, too surprised to stop him. He knelt beside Kesha and pressed his hand to her forehead, then examined her wound. "Blood poisoning," he said. "The infection has spread. She needs antibiotics designed for Valanthi biology." "We have none," Yura said. Her voice was heavy with grief. "I might be able to make some." Everyone stared at him. Talith laughed harshly. "You, a human plant scientist? You think you can create medicine for a species you have never studied?" Dohyun stood up. His face was calm but determined. "I am a xenobiologist. I study all living things, not just plants. I have samples in my laboratory from over 200 species. I have research data from across the galaxy, and I have been studying your biology since you arrived." "How?" Nuri asked. "Blood samples from the bandages, skin cells from the blankets. Basic analysis of your food requirements." He looked at Yura. "I did not ask permission because I knew you would refuse, but I needed to understand your biology in case something like this happened." Yura should have been angry. He had studied them without consent, like they were specimens. But she saw no malice in his eyes, only worry for a dying woman. "Can you truly save her?" she asked. "I do not know," Doyen admitted, "but I can try. However, there is a problem. The compounds I need are in my external storage unit. It is 200 meters from this station." "The storm is still raging outside," Nuri said. "You would die out there." Doyen looked at the weather monitor on the wall. "There is a brief calm period coming in about 3 hours. The winds will drop for maybe 20 minutes before picking up again. If I move fast, I can reach the storage unit and return before the worst of it returns." "That is insane," Taylor said. "Elder Kesha will die within 6 hours without treatment," Doyen replied simply. "So I do not really have a choice." He spent the next 3 hours preparing. He checked his thermal suit 3 times, tested his emergency beacon, studied the path to the storage unit on his maps. The Valanthi watched him work in silence. Nuri approached him as he put on his helmet. "Let me come with you," she said. "2 people are safer than 1. No, if something happens to me, someone needs to explain to the others how to use the medical equipment." He handed her a data pad. "Everything you need to know is on here. The synthesis process, the dosage calculations, everything." Nuri took the data pad, her hands trembling slightly. "You are trusting me with her life." "I am trusting you with everything," Doyun said. "If I do not come back, take care of my station. Take care of your clan. There is enough food for 3 more weeks if you ration carefully. Do not talk like that. You will come back." Doyun smiled at her. It was a small, tired smile. "I will try." The calm period arrived exactly on schedule. Dohyun opened the outer door and stepped into a world of white ice and gray sky. The wind had dropped, but the cold was still brutal. He could feel it seeping through his suit immediately. He ran. The 200 meters felt like 200 kilometers. The ground was covered in ice and he fell twice. Each time he forced himself back up and kept moving. His lungs burned with cold air. His vision started to blur around the edges. The storage unit appeared through the swirling snow. He punched in the access code with numb fingers, got it wrong, punched it in again. The door opened. Inside, he grabbed the containers he needed: chemical compounds, biological samples, synthesis equipment. He stuffed everything into his bag without bothering to organize it. There was no time. He stepped back outside and started running again. He was halfway back when the wind returned. It came without warning, a wall of frozen air that hit him like a fist. He staggered, fell, and slid across the ice. The bag flew from his hands. He scrambled after it on hands and knees, grabbing it just before it disappeared into the white chaos. The station was somewhere ahead. He could not see it. He could not see anything except white and gray and swirling death. His suit beeped warnings about temperature dropping, about exposure limits, about system failures. He crawled, 1 meter at a time, one hand in front of the other. He thought about Elder Kesha dying on the floor. He thought about Yira losing her oldest friend. He thought about Nuri, waiting for him to come back. He could not fail them. The door appeared suddenly, right in front of him. He slammed his fist against it, too weak to stand. It opened and hands reached out and pulled him inside. The next few hours were a blur. Do-Yun's fingers and toes were badly frostbitten. His body temperature had dropped to dangerous levels, but he refused to rest until he had synthesized the medicine. He worked with shaking hands and blurred vision, following procedures he had memorized years ago. The Valanthi watched him like he was performing magic. In a way, perhaps he was. When he finally injected the medicine into Elder Kesha's arm, he collapsed. Nuri caught him before he hit the floor. She carried him to a pile of blankets and covered him with every warm thing she could find. She sat beside him for the rest of the night, watching his breathing, waiting. By morning, Elder Kesha's fever had broken. Her wound was starting to heal properly. She would live. Do-Yun was still unconscious, his hands wrapped in bandages, his face pale and drawn. But he was alive too. Talith stood at the foot of his blankets, looking down at him with an expression no one could read. "He almost died," she said. "For one of us. An alien. A stranger." "Yes," Nuri said quietly. "Why?" Nuri touched Do-Yun's forehead gently. "Because that is who he is." Talith was silent for a long moment. Then she turned and walked away. She did not speak against the human again. That afternoon, when the other Valanthi gathered around Elder Kesha to celebrate her recovery, the old woman asked to speak with Do-Hyun. He came to her, still weak, still wrapped in bandages. "You saved my life," Kesha said. "I have killed humans in battle. I have called your kind weak and worthless, and you saved my life anyway." "Everyone deserves a chance to live," Do-Hyun said. "Even people who do not like me." Kesha reached out and took his bandaged hand. "We have a word in our language. Roakan. It means storm shelter, a protector, someone who stands between danger and those who cannot protect themselves." She squeezed his hand gently. "That is what you are, human. You are Roakan." Do-Hyun did not know what to say, so he just nodded and squeezed her hand back. In the corner of the room, Nuri watched with tears in her amber eyes. She had known he was special from the beginning. Now her whole clan knew it too. The days after Elder Kesha's recovery were different. The Valanthi still watched Do-Hyun, but not with suspicion anymore. They watched him the way you might watch a strange bird that had landed in your garden, with curiosity, with wonder. Do-Hyun was recovering slowly from his frostbite. His fingers would heal completely, the medical scan said, but it would take time. Until then, he could not do much of the work he usually did. The Valanthi started helping without being asked. They cleaned the station, organized supplies, repaired small things that had broken during the storm. They did not say they were doing it for him. Valanthi pride would not allow that. But everyone knew the truth. Nuri spent most of her time at Do-Hyun's side. At first, she told herself it was because someone needed to help him with his bandages, with his food, with the tasks his injured hands could not manage. But soon she stopped pretending. She simply wanted to be near him. They talked for hours while the storm raged outside. Do-Hyun told her about Earth, about the blue oceans and green forests, about cities that reached toward the sky, and small villages hidden in mountains. He told her about his family, his studies, his dream of exploring the galaxy and understanding all its life forms. He told her about the woman who broke his heart, how he had loved her for 5 years, planned a future with her, only to discover she had been seeing another man the whole time, how the betrayal had hurt so much that he needed to leave everything behind and find a quiet corner of the universe where he could heal. "That is why you came to this empty planet," Nuri said. "You were running away from pain." "I was," Do-Hyun admitted, "but I found peace here. The forests are beautiful. The animals are fascinating. I have been happy in a quiet way." "Do you miss your world? Your people?" Do-Hyun thought about it. "Sometimes, but I have learned that home is not always a place. Sometimes it is a feeling, a sense of belonging." Nuri told him about her own life. She was the youngest daughter of a minor branch of the clan. Her mother had died when she was young, and her father was unknown, as was common among Valanthi. She had been raised by the clan, trained to hunt and fight like all her sisters. But she had always been different. She asked too many questions. She hesitated before killing. She looked at prey and wondered what their lives were like before she ended them. "My sisters call me soft," she said. "They say I think too much and feel too deeply. They say these are weaknesses. They are not weaknesses, Do-Yun said firmly. They are gifts. The ability to understand others, to feel what they feel, to see the world through their eyes. These things make you stronger, not weaker. Nuri looked at him with those amber eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. You are the first person who has ever said that to me. Then everyone else was wrong. Something passed between them in that moment. Something neither of them fully understood yet, but they both felt it. The next morning, Nuri went to Matriarch Yira. The old warrior was sitting alone, reviewing damage reports from their crashed ship. She looked up as Nuri approached and knelt before her. Matriarch, Nuri said formally, I wish to invoke the right of claiming. Yira's eyes widened slightly. The claiming has not been invoked in 40 years. It is an ancient right, not to be taken lightly. I know. I have studied the old laws. A Valanthi Huntress may claim a male who has proven his worth through virtue rather than combat. The male must have demonstrated courage, generosity, and honor. He must have protected the clan without expectation of reward. You speak of the human. I speak of Kang Do-Hyun, Nuri said. Yes. Yura was silent for a long moment. You understand what this means. The claiming is a lifetime bond. If you claim him and he accepts, he becomes your mate, your partner, your responsibility. You would be bound to him until death. I understand. He is human. You are Valanthi. Our kinds are different in many ways. There will be difficulties you cannot imagine. I know, Nuri said, but I also know that I have never met anyone like him. He makes me feel like my differences are strengths. He sees me in a way no one else ever has. And she paused, searching for words. I want to protect him the way he has protected us. Yura studied the young huntress for a long time. Then she nodded slowly. You have my permission to invoke the claiming, but you must announce it to the whole clan, and the human must accept willingly. These are the old laws. I understand. Thank you, Matriarch. That evening, Nuri stood before the assembled clan. 17 Valanthi warriors watched her with varying expressions of curiosity, surprise, and confusion. Do-Yun stood at the back, not knowing what was happening. Sisters, Nuri said, her voice clear and strong. I invoke the ancient right of claiming. I claim the human Kang Do-Hyun as my chosen mate. The room exploded with noise. Talith jumped to her feet, shouting objections. Other hunters argued among themselves. Only Elder Kesha and Matriarch Yira remained calm. This is disgraceful, Talith shouted. He is human. He is not worthy of a Valanthi. He is Roakan, Nuri shouted back. He has proven his worth 100 times over. He sheltered us when we were helpless. He healed our wounded. He nearly died to save Elder Kesha. By the old laws, he has earned the right to be claimed. The old laws were not made for humans. The old laws were made for anyone who proves themselves worthy. Nuri turned to Matriarch Yira. Am I wrong? Does the law not say that any male of any species who demonstrates sufficient virtue may be claimed? Yira stood. The room fell silent immediately. Nuri speaks the truth, the matriarch said. The old laws do not specify species. They speak only of worth, and Kang Do-Hyun has demonstrated worth beyond question. She looked at the human, who was standing very still, his face pale with shock. However, the law also requires that the claiming be accepted willingly. The human must speak for himself. Every eye in the room turned to Do-Hyun. He looked at Nuri across the crowded space. She stood straight and proud, but he could see the fear in her eyes. She had risked everything by declaring this. If he refused, she would be humiliated before her entire clan. I need time, he said quietly, to understand what this means, to think. Yura nodded. That is fair. You have 3 days to give your answer. Nuri's face fell slightly, but she nodded. I will wait. The crowd slowly dispersed, still muttering among themselves. Nuri fled to a corner of the station, hiding her face from her sisters. Do-Hyun did not follow her. Not yet. He needed to think about what had just happened, about what it meant, about what he wanted, and about whether he was brave enough to accept. Do-Hyun could not sleep that night. He lay in his corner of the station, staring at the ceiling, thinking about Nuri's words, the claiming, a lifetime bond, a mate. He had come to this planet to escape love, to heal from the wounds that loving someone had caused him. And now here was this beautiful, fierce, impossibly kind alien woman offering him something he had never expected to find again. Was he ready? The next morning, Talith found him alone in the food storage room. She closed the door behind her and leaned against it, blocking his exit. Her golden eyes were hard and cold. "We need to talk, human," she said. Doyun sighed. "If you are here to threaten me again, please do not bother. I have had a difficult night." "I am here to warn you." Talith crossed her arms. "If you refuse Nuri's claiming, you insult her. You insult our clan. You make her look like a fool in front of her sisters. She will never recover from the shame." "I understand. But if you accept," Talith continued, "you will be seen as stealing one of our best young huntresses, taking her away from her people. Many in the clan will never forgive you for that. You will have enemies among us for the rest of your life." Doyun looked at her steadily. "So no matter what I choose, someone gets hurt." "Yes, that is the truth of it. There is no path where you win, human." Doyun was quiet for a moment. Then he said something that surprised her. "I am not interested in winning." "What?" "I am not interested in winning," he repeated. "I do not care about my reputation or my standing or whether people like me. I have lived alone on this planet for 3 years. I know how to be hated. I know how to be forgotten." He met her eyes. "What I care about is doing the right thing, and what I care about is Nuri." Talith stared at him. "You care about her?" "Yes, she is kind and curious and brave. She sees the world differently from everyone else, and that makes her special. She deserves someone who appreciates those things, someone who will support her, not try to change her." "And you think that someone is you? A weak human male?" "I do not know," Doyun admitted, "but I would like to try, if she will have me." Talith was silent for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was different, softer, almost confused. "I do not understand you," she said. "I have spent my whole life judging worth by strength, by the ability to fight, to kill, to dominate. And you are none of those things. Yet somehow you have earned the respect of our matriarch, the gratitude of our elder, and the love of our youngest sister." "Perhaps strength is not always about fighting," Dohyun suggested. Talith shook her head slowly. "Perhaps. I need to think about this." She left without another word. Dohyun returned to his thinking. That afternoon, he went to find Matriarch Yira. The old warrior was sitting by a window, watching the storm outside. It had weakened over the past few days, and patches of clear sky were starting to appear between the clouds. Soon it would be over. "May I speak with you?" Dohyun asked. Yira gestured for him to sit beside her. "You have questions about the claiming." "I have one question, the only one that matters." Dohyun sat down and looked at her directly. "If I accept Nuri's claiming, will she be happy? Will she be free to live as she chooses?" Yira studied him with ancient eyes. "That is a strange question. It is the only question I care about. Most males who are claimed ask about their own status, their rights, their power within the clan. You ask about her happiness. I have seen how her sisters treat her," Dohyun said. "They think she is too soft, too curious, too different. They do not value the things that make her special. I want to know that becoming my mate will not trap her in a life she does not want." Yira was silent for a moment. Then she smiled. It was the first time Dohyun had seen her smile. "You truly care for her." "I do. I did not expect to. I did not want to. But yes, I care for her very much." The matriarch nodded slowly. "If you accept the claiming, Nuri will have many choices. She can stay with the clan or leave with you. She can be a huntress or choose a different path. The claiming gives her freedom, not chains. It says that she has found someone worthy and that she has the right to build a life with that person." "And her sisters? Will they accept me?" "Some will, some will not. But that is true of any choice in life. What matters is that Nuri has chosen you. And if you choose her in return, then you will face whatever comes together." Dohyun nodded. "Thank you. That is what I needed to know." "You have made your decision?" Yes. Yura's smile widened slightly. Then go tell her. The poor girl has been hiding in the storage room all day, too afraid to face anyone. Doyun found Nuri exactly where the matriarch said she would be. She was sitting among boxes of supplies, her knees pulled up to her chest, her amber eyes red from crying. She looked up when he entered. Fear and hope battled in her expression. You have decided, she said. It was not a question. Doyun sat down across from her. He took her hands in his bandaged ones. They were warm against his cold fingers. I need to tell you something first, he said. I came to this planet because I was hurt. A woman I loved betrayed me, and I thought I would never trust anyone again. I thought I would spend the rest of my life alone, studying plants and watching storms. Nuri's face fell. She tried to pull her hands away, but he held on gently. Let me finish, he said. I thought those things, but then you crashed into my life. Literally, he smiled. And everything changed. You looked at me like I was a person, not a curiosity or a threat. You defended me when your sisters wanted to hurt me. You sat with me when I was recovering. You listened to my stories and shared your own. He lifted her hands to his chest, pressing them against his heart. Nuri, I am scared. I am scared of loving someone again and being hurt. I am scared of your clan and their judgment. I am scared of all the things I do not know about the future. He paused. But I am more scared of losing you, of watching you walk away and spending the rest of my life wondering what might have been. Nuri's eyes were filling with tears again, but these were different tears. So yes, Doyun said, I accept your claiming. If you will have a weak, strange, impossibly stubborn human as your mate. Nuri laughed through her tears. You are not weak. You are Rocken, and I would have no one else. She pulled him into an embrace, holding him tight against her. He could feel her heart beating fast, matching the rhythm of his own. I will make you happy, she whispered. I swear it on my honor as a huntress. And I will do the same, he whispered back. I swear it on everything I am. They stayed like that for a long time, holding each other among the supply boxes, while the storm outside slowly began to fade. They did not know what the future would bring. They did not know what challenges they would face. But they knew they would face them together, and for now that was enough. The sentry storm finally ended on the 15th day. The clouds parted, the winds died, and pale sunlight touched the frozen ground for the first time in weeks. The Volanthi emerged from the station to look at a world transformed by ice and snow, but their relief did not last long. Do-Yun's long-range sensors, which had been useless during the storm, came back online. What they showed made his blood run cold. Ships, he said, staring at the screen. 6 of them, entering the system. Matriarch Yura pushed through the crowd to look over his shoulder. Her face went pale when she saw the ship signatures. Kethrani, she said, slavers. The word spread through the clan like fire. Nuri grabbed Do-Hyun's arm. The Kethrani have been hunting us for months. They want to capture us and sell us as fighters in their arena pits. They are the reason we crashed here. They attacked our ship and damaged our engines. How did they find us? Talith demanded. They must have tracked our crash trajectory, Yura said grimly. They knew we landed on this planet. They were just waiting for the storm to end. Doyun studied the sensor data. They will reach the planet in about 6 hours. Their ships are armed, military-grade weapons. We must fight, Talith said. We are Volanthi. We do not surrender. There are 6 ships, Elder Kesha said quietly. Each one carries at least 30 soldiers. That is almost 200 fighters against 17 wounded huntresses. Then we die with honor. No, Do-Yun's voice cut through the argument. Everyone turned to look at him. No one is dying today. Not if I can help it. He walked to his communication console and started typing commands. The Volanthi watched him, confused. What are you doing? Nuri asked. Something I should have done years ago, Do-Yun replied. I am calling for help. He activated a frequency that had been dormant for 3 years, an old emergency channel used by the Terran Frontier Guard, the human military force that patrolled the outer edges of colonized space. Do-Yun had been a civilian consultant for them once, before he left Earth. He had contacts, friends, people who owed him favors. He just hoped those debts had not been forgotten. This is Kang Do-Hyun, Research Station, Varus 7. He spoke into the transmitter. I am requesting immediate military assistance. I have 17 civilians under my protection. A Kathrani slaver fleet is approaching this location. We cannot defend ourselves. Please respond. Static filled the room. Seconds passed, then minutes. Talith laughed bitterly. No one is coming. We are too far from civilized space. Your people do not care about one lonely scientist on a forgotten planet. Do-hyun did not respond. He kept his eyes on the transmitter, waiting. Then a voice crackled through the static. Do-hyun, is that you? This is Captain Baek Ji-won of the Terran battleship Thunderchild. Did you say Kathrani slavers? Relief flooded through Do-hyun. Ji-won, yes. 6 ships, approaching fast. I have Valanthi civilians here. They need protection. Valanthi? There was surprise in the captain's voice. How did you end up protecting Valanthi warriors? It is a long story. Can you help or not? A pause, then. We are 3 hours out at maximum speed. Can you hold until then? Do-hyun looked at Yira. The matriarch nodded slowly. We can hold, Do-hyun said. Just get here as fast as you can. On our way, Thunderchild out. The transmission ended. The Valanthi stared at Do-hyun with expressions ranging from shock to disbelief. You called humans to help us? Talith said. A human warship is coming here for us? Not just any warship, Do-hyun said. The Thunderchild is one of the most powerful ships in the Frontier Guard. Captain Baek is an old friend. She will not let the Kathrani take you. Yira stepped forward. Why would she come? What does she owe you? Do-hyun hesitated. I helped her once, years ago. It does not matter. What matters is that she is coming. But Nuri could see there was more to the story. She filed it away to ask about later. The next 3 hours were tense. The Valanthi prepared for battle, even though they knew they could not win. They sharpened weapons, checked armor, said quiet goodbyes to each other. If the humans did not arrive in time, they would fight to the death. Do-hyun watched the sensor screen, tracking both the approaching Kathrani fleet and the single dot of the Thunderchild racing toward them. It was going to be close. The Kathrani arrived first. Their 6 ships dropped out of hyperspace and took position in orbit above the planet. A transmission came through on all frequencies. Attention, Valanthi criminals. You are wanted for destruction of Kathrani property and murder of Kathrani citizens. Surrender now and you will be taken alive. Resist and we will burn your hiding place to ash. Yira grabbed the transmitter. We are not criminals. You attacked us without provocation. You destroyed our ship. You killed our sisters. We will never surrender to slavers. Then you will die. The Kathrani ships began charging their weapons. Do-hyun watched the energy readings climb higher and higher. Then another ship dropped out of hyperspace. The Thunderchild was enormous. Nearly twice the size of any Kathrani vessel, it was covered in weapons and armor plating. It moved directly between the Kathrani fleet and the planet, blocking their line of fire. A new transmission filled the airwaves. A woman's voice, cold and commanding. Attention, Kathrani vessels. This is Captain Baek Ji-won of the Terran Frontier Guard. The people on that planet are under our protection. Power down your weapons and leave this system immediately, or you will be destroyed. Silence from the Kathrani. Then, this is not your concern, human. These are our prisoners, our prey. They are civilians under the protection of the Terran government, Captain Baek replied. You have 30 seconds to begin retreat or we will open fire. You are 1 ship against 6. You cannot defeat us. 20 seconds. The Valanthi watched the standoff with held breath. Do-hyun kept his eyes on the sensor screen. He could see the Thunderchild's weapons powering up. He knew what that ship could do. 10 seconds, Captain Baek said. The Kathrani commander broke first. All ships withdraw. This is not worth a war with the humans. One by one, the Kathrani ships powered down their weapons and retreated. Within minutes, they were gone, jumping back into hyperspace and disappearing from the sensor screen. The Valanthi erupted in cheers. They embraced each other, laughed, cried. Talith fell to her knees and whispered thanks to ancestors she had not prayed to in years. Nuri threw her arms around Do-hyun and held him tight. You saved us. Again. Captain Baek saved us, Do-hyun said. I just made a call. Do not be humble, Yira said, approaching them. You did what we could not. You called your people to protect strangers, enemies, aliens. She placed a hand on his shoulder. You have proven once again that you are Roakan. Do-yun looked around at the faces of the Valanthi warriors. Many of them had hated him when they first arrived. Many had called him weak and worthless. Now they looked at him with something like reverence. He was still not comfortable with that look, but he understood it better now. A transmission came through from the Thunder Child. Do-yun, when this is over, you and I need to have a long conversation about how you ended up playing host to a Valanthi warrior clan. Do-hyun smiled. I look forward to it, Captain. And Ji-won? Thank you. You saved my life once. Consider the debt repaid. A pause. We are sending shuttles down to help with evacuation and medical support. Thunderchild out. As the transmission ended, Nuri looked at Do-hyun with curious eyes. You saved her life? Like I said, long story. I want to hear it. Do-hyun squeezed her hand. I will tell you everything after we get through the next few hours. Outside, the first Terran shuttles were descending through the clear sky. Help had arrived. The nightmare was over. But for Do-hyun and Nuri, a new chapter was just beginning. The Terran shuttles landed in the clearing beside Do-hyun's research station. Medics rushed out to help the wounded Valanthi. Engineers began assessing the crashed ship to see if anything could be salvaged. Soldiers set up a defensive perimeter, watching the skies for any sign of the Kathrani returning. Captain Baek Ji-won came down in the last shuttle. She was a tall woman with short black hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. Her uniform was perfectly pressed, her posture perfectly straight. She moved with the confidence of someone who had faced death many times and won every battle. When she saw Do-hyun, her stern expression softened slightly. 3 years, she said. 3 years without a single message, and the first time you contact me is to ask me to fight off a slaver fleet. Do-hyun smiled. I did not want to bother you with small things. Ji-won shook her head. But there was affection in the gesture. Same old Do-hyun, hiding at the edge of the galaxy, pretending you do not need anyone. She looked at the Valanthi being treated by her medics. And yet here you are, taking care of 17 alien warriors. They needed help. It was the right thing to do. It was insane. Most humans would have closed their doors and waited for the storm to kill them. Ji-won studied him with those sharp eyes. But you were never most humans, were you? Before Do-hyun could respond, Matriarch Yira approached them. She moved slowly, still recovering from her wounds, but her dignity was fully intact. Captain Baek, she said formally, I am Matriarch Yira of the Valanthi Huntress clan. On behalf of my people, I wish to express our gratitude for your intervention. Ji-won nodded respectfully. Matriarch, any friend of Do-hyun is under our protection. We were not his friends when we arrived, Yira admitted. We were strangers, potential enemies, and he protected us anyway. She looked at Do-hyun. Your people are fortunate to have such men among them. We are, Ji-won agreed, though sometimes they are too stubborn to stay where they are appreciated. The matriarch smiled slightly. I understand that feeling. I have one such stubborn young woman in my own clan. As if on cue, Nuri appeared at Do-hyun's side. She took his hand in hers, a gesture that did not go unnoticed by Captain Baek. Do-hyun, Ji-won said slowly, is there something you want to tell me? Do-hyun looked at Nuri, then back at the captain. Nuri has invoked the Valanthi right of claiming. She has chosen me as her mate. I have accepted. Ji-won's eyebrows rose. You are mating with a Valanthi huntress? I prefer the term committed relationship, Do-hyun said. But yes. For a moment, Ji-won said nothing. Then she laughed. A real laugh, warm and surprised. Of all the things I expected to find when I came here, this was not one of them. Life is full of surprises. Apparently so. Ji-won shook her head, still chuckling. Well, I suppose I should congratulate you both, though I have no idea how this is going to work. Neither do we, Nuri said honestly, but we will figure it out together. That afternoon, the Valanthi clan gathered for a formal ceremony. It was the debt acknowledgement, one of the most sacred rituals in their culture. When someone saved a Valanthi clan from destruction, the clan owed them a debt that could take generations to repay. Matriarch Yira stood before the assembled warriors and the watching Terran soldiers. Her voice rang out clear and strong. Kang Do-hyun of Earth, you sheltered us when we were lost. You healed us when we were wounded. You protected us when we were hunted. By the ancient laws of our people, we acknowledge our debt to you. From this day forward, you are a friend to the Velanthi. Your enemies are our enemies. Your family is our family. This debt will be honored for as long as our clan exists. It was a powerful declaration. The watching humans shifted uncomfortably, aware they were witnessing something important and sacred. Do-yun stepped forward. He looked at the faces of the Velanthi, from the stern Talith to the smiling Elder Kesha to the proud matriarch. I thank you for this honor, he said. But I must refuse it. Gasps rippled through both groups. The Velanthi looked shocked. No one refused a debt acknowledgement. It was unheard of. I did not help you to be owed, Do-yun continued. I did not shelter you to gain something in return. I helped because it was the right thing to do, because you were people in need, and I could make a difference. That is reason enough. Silence filled the clearing. The Velanthi did not know how to respond. In their entire history, spanning thousands of years, no one had ever refused their debt. Nuri stepped forward, standing beside Do-hyun. Then I will repay the debt myself, she said. Her voice was strong and clear. With my life, with my loyalty, with my love. She turned to face Do-hyun and took his hands in hers. This was the final part of the claiming ritual. The binding words that would tie them together forever. I, Nuri of the Velanthi Huntress clan, claim Kang Do-hyun of Earth as my mate and my partner. I swear to stand beside him in darkness and light. I swear to protect him as he has protected us. I swear to love him until the stars grow cold and the universe falls silent. She looked at him with those amber eyes waiting. Do-hyun squeezed her hands. I, Kang Do-hyun of Earth, accept this claiming. I swear to honor Nuri of the Velanthi for as long as I live. I swear to support her, to challenge her, to grow beside her. I swear to love her with everything I am and everything I will become. He leaned forward and pressed his forehead to hers, a gesture of intimacy that transcended species and culture. The Velanthi cheered. Even Talith, after a moment of hesitation, joined in the celebration. The Terran soldiers applauded, caught up in the emotion of the moment. Captain Beck approached the couple when the ceremony ended. Do-hyun, she said, the Thunder Child is heading back to civilized space tomorrow. There is room for you aboard if you want it. After everything that has happened here, no one would blame you for wanting to leave. Do-hyun looked around at the clearing, at the Velanthi clan, his unexpected family, at the research station that had been his home for 3 years, at the alien forest he had come to love, at Nuri standing beside him with hope and uncertainty in her eyes. I think I will stay, he said, at least for a while. There is still so much to study here, and I have a feeling things are about to get interesting. What do you mean? The galaxy knows what happened here now. A human protecting Velanthi warriors, a Velanthi huntress claiming a human mate. Word will spread. People will come asking questions, wanting to understand. He smiled. This quiet planet will not be quiet for much longer. Ji-won nodded slowly. You are probably right, but if you ever need help again, you know where to find me. I do. Thank you, Ji-won, for everything. The captain boarded her shuttle. The Terran ships lifted off one by one, disappearing into the blue sky. Soon the Thunder Child itself was gone, jumping back into hyperspace. The Velanthi remained. In the days that followed, they began rebuilding. Some of them would eventually leave, finding new ships and new missions among the stars. But others chose to stay, to build a new home on this strange planet beside the strange human who had saved them. Do-hyun expanded his research station. Nuri learned to help him with his studies, discovering that she had a talent for biology she had never known about. They worked side by side, exploring the forests, cataloging new species, building a life together. One evening, as the sun set over the frozen mountains, Nuri found Do-hyun standing at the window where he had first seen the storm approaching. What are you thinking about? She asked, wrapping her arms around him from behind. About how much has changed, he said. A month ago, I was alone. I thought I would be alone forever. And now you have a mate, a clan, and more family than you know what to do with. Do-hyun laughed softly. Exactly. It is still hard to believe. Nuri rested her chin on his shoulder. Do you regret it? Any of it? He turned in her arms to face her. The last light of the sunset made her blue skin glow like silver. "Not for a single moment," he said. She smiled at him. That sharp-toothed, warm-eyed smile that he had come to love more than anything in the galaxy. "Good," she said. "Because with me, Ro-Khan, life will never be boring. I am counting on it." He kissed her as the stars began appearing overhead. The same stars that contained countless worlds, countless species, countless stories waiting to be told. Their story was just beginning, and it was going to be extraordinary.